I am interviewing my dad, Jack Barty. There are 5 interesting things about him. He grew in Bayhead, New Jersey. My dad owns 2 restaurants, the Beehive in Boston and the Beat Grocery in Harvard Square. In 1997, he opened his first restaurant, Pho Republique. It was a Vietnamese restaurant. 1 year after he opened the Pho Republique, a fire destroyed it. In 1990, he lived and worked in Russia, and when it was part of the Soviet Union, he saw Gorbachev as the leader of the Soviet Union. Dad, can you tell me about your failure?
Well, Lou, the failure I'm going to talk about today is the time that I made a deal to purchase a restaurant. It was located in Porter Square in Cambridge, and I made all the arrangements to buy it, and I thought I had a deal, and then ultimately I didn't have a deal.
Why did you like that spot?
Well, I liked the spot because it was located in an area of Cambridge. It had a lot of people that lived around there that I thought would like the kind of restaurant that I was going to open, and the space itself, the restaurant site, it was very nice. Somebody had opened a restaurant there and it didn't work out for them, and they invested like a lot of money in it, and it was a beautiful space, and it wouldn't cost me a lot of money to turn it into the kind of restaurant I wanted it to be. So my failure was that I negotiated a price with the seller, the gentleman that was selling the restaurant, and we agreed on the price, and I thought that we had a deal, and the understanding that it was in bankruptcy, and when the business is in bankruptcy, it has to go through a legal process in order to change hands, in order to sell. It has to go to a court and a judge, and I didn't realize that that the person that was selling it really isn't the one that makes the decision. The judge makes the decision. So I negotiated a price, and we had a deal, and we shook our hand, but I didn't have a signed deal. And that's where I was naive. That's where I was wrong. I thought that we had like a deal. I thought it was my restaurant. So I started putting in money. I started working on the space. I started acting like it was actually going to be my restaurant. But after a few months, when we had to go to the judge, the bankruptcy court, to finalize the deal, it turns out somebody else wanted to buy it. And another business person showed up that day, and we got into a bidding war about who would pay more for the space. I didn't know that was going to happen. And the other business person wanted to pay a lot more money than I was willing to pay for it. So I didn't get the space, but I had spent some money and a lot of time and a lot of effort thinking that it was going to be my business, but it wasn't. So
how did you feel?
I felt I was disappointed, and I was angry at myself for not being more clear, not understanding that a deal isn't a deal until it's signed and it's a contract.
What did you learn from that?
Well, I learned that you have to that you can't count your chickens before they hatch. You've got to make sure that if you're going to make some sort of deal, that things are in writing, that it's very clear, that there's a very clear understanding, and there's a legal basis, like a legal contract, in order to move forward, because things happen. And I learned my lesson, and I knew that I learned my lesson. I knew I would come back another day and do something else. I took it as a lesson in life, but it was disappointing for sure. But I moved on and ended up doing some other things that worked out.